One thing worldwide people notice is clear contrast in how black protesters are treated and how white mobs of people are treated in this country. And it's something that has been spoken about a lot in the media since the pro-Trump insurrection occurred. Well, one thing it does, ladies and gentlemen, it exonerates the black community. So it's a good thing this happened. It exonerated us because when we tried to tell people, we get treated very, very differently. A lot of people always want to pretend like we're over-exaggerating. Oh, it's not true. I've had white people come to my comment section and claim they get shot by police more than black people and all this stuff. Now you see this shed a serious light on the difference in how we are treated. Now, if you remember, Trump, Barr, and many others in the Senate and Congress tried to say systemic racism does not exist. Well, yesterday proved it really does exist. It really did. That's one thing. There should be no more talk about systemic racism don't exist. That is dead now. That's dead. So this came out in the Washington Post, kid glove treatment for white pro-Trump mob, contrast with strong armed police tactics against Black Lives Matter activists. And it really don't even have to be Black Lives Matter. It is just us in general. So, of course, people are speaking out in a huge way over this. So, when Chanel Helm helped organize protests after the March 13th killing of Breonna Taylor, Louisville police responded with batons, stun grenades, and tear gas. The 40-year-old Black Lives Matter activist still bears scars from rubber bullets fired at close range. So Helms was startled and frustrated Wednesday to see a white pro-Trump mob storm the U.S. Capitol, breaking down barricades, smashing windows, and striking police officers without obvious consequences. And yes, quite a few of those cops got injured. Our activists are still to this day met with hyper police violence. And let me tell you what that is. See, when the police deal with us, they deal with us like a racist. That's how they handle the black community. They handle us like a bunch of racists. But see, when that crowd start looking just like them, they don't want to do anything. And it doesn't matter how violent that white crowd is. They don't want to do nothing. So, today you see a full-on riot, literal, a coup, with people toting guns, which the police knew was coming, and they just let it happen. I don't understand where the law and order is. This is what white supremacy looked like. Helm and other activists across the country spent much of 2020 facing off with law enforcement while protesting police brutality and racial inequality. Watch with a mixture of outrage and validation as the president's supporters stormed the Capitol building during the session of the House and Senate. For veteran social justice demonstrators, the images of men and women wearing red Trump 2020 hats and clutching American and Confederate flags, walking through the Capitol largely unmolested, came as shocking yet predictable evidence of their long-held suspicion that conservative white protesters intent on violence would not be met with any of the strong-arm tactics that police brutality protesters face. Yes, that's very true. Nobody face it, worse in this country than black protesters. That is the damn truth. Leslie McSpalding, mother of Michael Brown, who died at the age of 18 in 2014, police shooting in Ferguson, Missouri, which launched the Black Lives Matter movement, said in an interview that the lack of a police response was stunning. There was no shooting, no rubber bullets, no tear gas, she said. There was nothing like what we have seen. Nothing like what we have seen. Gregory McKelvey, 27, Portland, Oregon, said he was among dozens of people who were tear-gassed, beaten by federal police officers as they stood this summer in a park close to a federal courthouse in his hometown protesting the choking death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Exactly. We never once tried to get into a federal building, McKelvey said. We faced off with people who looked like troops. They were dressed for war. They were in armored vehicles. And today I'm watching bike cops riding up. The image of Confederate flags being raised over the rooftop of government buildings and atop scaffolding in Washington deadened some, and you know what the worst part is, y'all? This is not the only place that was stormed. They went to different state capitals simultaneously, storming those buildings. That's how, they know this was all well planned out. Okay, so deadened some of the jubilation among Democratic voters in Georgia who saw the election of the state's first black U.S. Senator Tuesday. Raphael Warnock's victory over Kelly Loeffler, Republican, Democrat, John Ossoff, and he won the Georgia 2nd Senate seat. So that's why they said the Democrats have officially taken over the Senate. Danny T. Stone, a 62-year-old retired Army colonel and Atlanta resident, said he woke up Wednesday having his faith restored in the system and feeling grateful to God. Then he watched TV scenes of a nearly all-white mob storming the Capitol. For Stone, it was a reminder of the deeply rooted white grievance that helped elect Donald Trump in 2016 and awarded him with the second most votes ever 4 years later. When I saw it, I was angry, Stone said. White America made a conscious decision, but the saving grace is there is another 81 million people that said no. While police were working to secure the Capitol on Wednesday evening, Warnock described the riot in a tweet as a dark moment, quoting Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., y'all kill me with that. In this moment of unrest, violence, and anger, Warnock said, we must remember the words of Dr. King, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. All right, well, these little talking points never do anything. No defense, but they don't. Civil rights lawyers and activists say they believe if black protesters had stormed the U.S. Capitol, the consequences would have been immediate and deadly. They got that right. We all know that. All right, y'all. These people broke into the Capitol and were sitting on the House Speaker's desk today, McKesson said. Black people would not have even gotten in the building. You're right. They would have started shooting them the minute they started to rush at the police. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who represented the families of police violent victims Floyd, Taylor, and Jacob Blake, among others, said in a statement that the contrast in law enforcement response was an example of our two systems of justice. Black Lives Matter protesters who marched in Washington never stormed the Capitol or overtook the police, he said. If black people had done these things these white domestic terrorists did today, can you imagine the reaction? No, it would have been a deadly reaction. The black people would have been met with a barrage of bullets, and they wouldn't have hesitated to do it like they hesitated with these folks. They would have been tear gas, pepper sprayed, arrested, and charged with felonies or treason, Crump wrote. Another tragic display of our two systems of justice. Yeah. And a lot of people came out, ladies and gentlemen, and voiced on this situation about obvious differences and how they handled the white crowd opposed to black protesters on the street when there's a case of somebody getting killed unarmed. So there you have it. World, this is the real America. This is how it's always been in America. But see, we are in the day and age where everything is real time now. So it don't take long for these video images to go out worldwide. So now the whole planet sees the clear and undeniable double standards that are carried out in everyday life, especially with law enforcement in America. There's no doubt about it. Even if you thought you had an inkling of doubt, you should not have any at this point in time. We have been complaining about this forever. Now, finally, the entire planet saw it with your own two eyes yesterday. But y'all, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell